Good evening to our viewers watching on television and those joining us online across our social media platforms. I'm Colin Abrams with the Monday, February 9 edition of the Ghana TV9 News. In the headlines tonight, Nazar Mohammed's hospitalization forces adjournment of extradition hearings until February 16. President Ali commissions $1 billion Bayrock National Stadium, marking a new era for sports in Linden. Finance Minister invokes Escobar cautionary tale to warn against political shields for criminality. Opposition tables motion seeking unfettered media access to the National Assembly. DCAA enforces zero tolerance on illegal drone use. And vendors arrested after attacking man inside Prika police station. Now for the news in depth. President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali officially commissioned the $1.1 billion Bayrak National Stadium in Linden at the weekend, delivering a world-class sporting hub to Region 10 that shifts sports from a hobby to a high-earning national industry. Addressing a massive crowd, the president declared the facility boasting a synthetic track and FIFA standard lighting, a physical manifestation of the government's commitment to modernize regional infrastructure and catalyze economic growth through elite athletic competition. More in this report.
President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali noted that since returning to office in August 2020, the government committed to building and upgrading sports facilities across all regions, including modern stadiums, synthetic tracks, community grounds, and multi-purpose complexes, supported by structured planning and sustained investment. The president disclosed that more than $20 billion has been allocated to sports development over the past 5 years, funding infrastructure, athletic support, grassroots programs, and preparation for hosting international competitions. He said the Bayrock National Stadium represents a tangible outcome of that investment and a clear signal that Ghana is positioning itself to develop talent and host world-class events.
Region 10, Linden, I speak to you today with an honest and clear conscience. We have invested in you, the people of Region 10, the people of Linden. We have stood by you in partnership. We have shown you real love. We have shown you real sacrifice. We have shown you commitment from the People's Progressive Party civic government. And now is the time that that love be returned, that that partnership be returned. And as we approach the future of this township and the future of this region, you as a people must speak to your conscience and let that conscience be awakened by the truth, by that confident truth. And that confident truth is that this government, this People's Progressive Party civic government has stood by you, stood with you, and we will continue to do so.
President Ali said the stadium is not only a sporting facility, but an economic catalyst that will create opportunities for businesses, including hotels, restaurants, and entertainment ventures, while boosting employment and activity in Linden and the wider region. He added that the facility will help attract national and international sporting events, further integrating Linden into Ghana's development trajectory. Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips also addressed the gathering and said the stadium fulfilled a long-standing dream of Linden, widely regarded as the mecca of athletics in Guyana. He noted that for decades, athletes, coaches, and officials had advocated for a modern facility in the town, especially given Linden's consistent success at the National Schools Athletics Championship.
Linden must now utilize this facility and continue to be the mecca of athletics in Guyana. What this means is that what we did before, what we achieved before, we can now achieve tenfold because we have the latest in facilities, this synthetic track. We have the drainage, which means that after rainfall, we could get back to business on track. We have the football field, and just now we'll have our footballers engaging in a game of football for us. And as a government, we remain proud that we can deliver the Bayrock National Stadium to the people of Linden.
Minister of Sports Charles Ramson Jr. said the stadium meets the highest international standards with a certified synthetic track, underground drainage to prevent flooding, FIFA standard playing field, and lighting that exceeds international requirements. He said the facility is capable of hosting regional and international football and athletic championships, including CONCACAF and FIFA events.
It was the support by His Excellency President Irfan Ali and our cabinet that gave us everything that you see here today. What do you see here today? You see a track that is the highest standard and certified at the highest level in the world. This field will never be flooded because it has underground drainage just like the Providence National Stadium, and it's certified for FIFA standard. These lights that you see here, these lights not only meet the FIFA standard, but it surpasses it by 3 times, which means that we can host CONCACAF and FIFA games right here at this ground, at this facility, right here in Linden.
Several government officials highlighted that the stadium forms part of a broader development push in Region 10, including the construction of a new bridge and the highway linking Linden to the coast, and upgrades to other sporting facilities such as the Mackenzie Sports Club ground. Officials said the Bayrock National Stadium will serve athletes from Linden and across Guyana, providing a modern training and competition venue that supports talent development, sports tourism, and national pride. The commissioning ceremony featured athletics displays and drew thousands of residents, underscoring the significance of the project to the Linden community. Colwyn Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
In his 2026 budget closing presentation, Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh invoked the cautionary tale of Pablo Escobar to warn against using populism and manufactured moral authority to shield alleged criminal misconduct, or conduct rather. Singh cautioned that exploiting the vulnerable for political cover poses a grave threat to Ghana's democratic and legal integrity. More from Adana Doric.
According to the minister, the story of Escobar was not raised to pass judgment on any individual, but to caution Guyanese citizens about how criminality, charisma, and politics can become dangerously intertwined if the public fails to remain vigilant. Dr. Singh emphasized that history offers powerful lessons about how individuals can reinvent themselves through carefully crafted public images, charity, and populist rhetoric, while concealing far more troubling realities beneath the surface. During his contribution, the finance minister quoted extensively from a 2001 article published by The Guardian, detailing how Escobar transformed himself from a criminal into a celebrated political figure by presenting himself as a benefactor of the poor, a champion of the vulnerable, and a supposed enemy of entrenched elites. According to the minister, Escobar's calculated use of generosity, media influence, and political office allow him to gain legitimacy and protection even as his criminal enterprise expanded.
The Speaker, further down the article, Pablo was usually tipped off well in advance of any effort to arrest him. And he had homes scattered throughout the mountainous Medellin area. And Mr. Speaker, the story continues and tells the gruesome tale, sir, of how this behavior continued.
According to the minister, Escobar's rise demonstrated how democratic systems can be corrupted when citizens are seduced by appearances rather than accountability. The finance minister warned that the consequences of such manipulations are never confined to politics alone, pointing to Escobar's eventual campaign of terror, bombings, assassination, and mass civilians' deaths. Dr. Singh stated that while he was not drawing direct parallels or making accusations, the responsibility lay with the public to critically examine political narratives, especially those wrapped in moral posturing and emotional appeals to poverty and hardship.
Mr. Speaker, this is a terrifying story. It's a terrifying story. And it is not my want, sir, to superimpose any parallels, direct or indirect, obvious or obscure, to this story. But I ask all Guyanese people, through you, sir, while keeping your eyes wide open, to close your eyes and ask yourself if this story sounds familiar.
According to the minister, the lesson for Ghana is clear. Democracy requires more than persuasive speeches and symbolic gestures. It demands transparency, integrity, and unwavering respect for the rule of law. Adan Dorg, Guyana TV9 News.
Economist Richard Rambran says some of the most impactful elements of the $1.5 trillion 2026 budget are also among the most overlooked, pointing to fuel tax relief, reduced shipping costs, and sustained infrastructure investment as key measures easing household pressure while advancing long-term national development. Here is more on how the fiscal measures are expected to impact the local business landscape.
Speaking on the Starting Point podcast, economist Richard Ramaran said policies such as zero excise tax on fuel and the reduction of shipping costs to pre-pandemic levels have played a significant role in cushioning households against rising living expenses. He said while these measures have appeared consistently in recent budgets, their impact is often taken for granted, even as many countries lack the fiscal space to implement similar relief. Rambran cautioned against viewing the national budget as a one-year instrument, stressing that economic transformation unfolds over time.
One has to view a budget within the larger context, particularly in Guyana within 5-year terms. I think we have seen much ado about nothing, if I'm to quote Shakespearean, much ado about nothing in the sense that this particular measure might have been promised on a campaign trail, but it is not in this budget. But we are seeing steps towards the fulfillment of that. It's important, in my view, to understand that multi-year planning, multi-year execution is absolutely necessary to facilitate and foster development in the way that is incremental, in development in the way that is non-disruptive to the economy.
He explained that budgets are shaped by economic realities, political commitments, and immediate social needs, and said Budget 2026 strikes a reasonable balance among all three. On poverty reduction, Rambran said government spends on roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, and health centers acts as an economic equalizer, reducing rural-urban disparities and expanding access to essential services. He highlighted major projects including the new Demerara River Bridge, improved highways, and expanded health infrastructure as investments that deliver intergenerational benefits.
The oil revenues and the taxation revenues that are emanating from the growing economy are not being spent solely on recurrent expenditure, which the state will have to shoulder in instances of oil price drops. You are seeing that those monies being spent on infrastructure, which really can be viewed almost as a great equalizer. And so does it take people out of poverty? Yes, it does. Does it do it immediately? No, it may not do it immediately. There is something in development school of thought, which is called the gestation period of capital, where when you place a piece of capital infrastructure into a society, into an economy, it takes time before it defrays.
Rambran noted that capital expenditure accounts for just over half of total spending in 2026, with recurrent expenditure remaining below 50%. A structure, he said, limits inflationary pressure and avoids mistakes made by other resource-rich economies. He warned that excessive unconditional cash transfers may boost short-term consumption but risk long-term instability if they cannot be sustainably financed. Pointing to intergenerational wealth creation, Rambran said major investments in aviation and transport infrastructure could prove transformative for Ghana's economic future. Addressing debt concerns, Rembrandt said Ghana remains among the lowest in the Western Hemisphere in debt to GDP and debt servicing ratio, while continuing to build savings through the Natural Resources Fund. He said responsible use of all revenues require balancing immediate social support with investments to create lasting and national assets rather than prioritizing short-term populist spending. Calvin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
APNU Member of Parliament Sherrod Duncan has formally taken his protest over restricted media access in Parliament to the floor of the National Assembly, filing a motion to call for full and non-discriminatory access for accredited media to all public parliamentary proceedings.
The move follows a public exchange during the budget debate where Duncan raised concerns about limits placed on journalists covering sittings of the Assembly. He was interrupted by Speaker Manzoor Nadir, who challenged the opposition MP to advance the matter in the correct format by way of a formal motion. In the motion submitted last Friday, Duncan argues that restrictions on press access undermine transparency, democratic oversight, and the public's right to information. He is calling on the National Assembly to direct that full, reasonable, and non-discriminatory access be guaranteed to all duly accredited media houses and their representatives to observe, record, and report on parliamentary sittings that are open to the public. The motion also seeks the removal of administrative practices that cap the number of journalists allowed in the chamber. Duncan further calls for an independent audio-visual media house to be granted access where coverage can be accommodated safely and in an orderly manner. In addition, the opposition MP is pressing for the Parliament Office to provide reliable, high-quality, uninterrupted, and publicly accessible live audiovisuals broadcast of all sittings of the National Assembly. Duncan contends that openness and transparency are essential to maintaining public confidence in Parliament, noting that for decades, accredited media have enjoyed reasonable and direct access to proceedings in keeping with democratic norms, parliamentary tradition, and constitutional principles. The motion is expected to reignite debate over media freedom and transparency in Ghana's highest legislative body, placing renewed focus on how Parliament balances order, security, and public accountability in an era of heightened public scrutiny. Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Manzoor Nadir, clarified on Monday that access for media to the National Assembly has increased, not decreased, during the 13th Parliament, allowing more private media representatives inside the chamber during sittings. Speaking on the first day of the 2026 budget debates, the Speaker explained that the arrangements agreed to during the 12th Parliament allowed 5 accredited private media reporters and 2 camera operators into the chamber under the supervision of the Guyana Press Association, GPA. Adana Dork, Ghana TV9 News.
A 33-year-old vendor was arrested after attacking a man inside the Parika police station compound at around 3 hours on Sunday, February 8, 2026. The victim, who was there to report a prior assault, fled the scene following the confrontation and is currently being sought by the Ghana Police Force. Ranks intervened immediately and the suspect was medically cleared at the Dikindran Regional Hospital before being placed in custody. The incident was captured on CCTV and authorities have condemned the violence, reiterating that police stations are strictly designated places of safety. We'll be back after these short messages. Stay with us.
Want to place your death announcements and in memoriam messages on Channel 9? Call 592-761-5006, 710-5008, 600-5006. Or visit our office at Lot 85A Lamaha Street, Albertown, Georgetown, Century 21 Building.
Guyana Channel 9 is now Guy TV9, proudly under new management. We're building stronger with a balanced and open platform for all advertisers. Whether you're promoting a business, service, or event, your message belongs right here. So choose your spot, news, prime time, or anytime, and reach viewers across Guyana. With affordable rates and professional service, Guy TV9 is your partner in progress. So visit us at Lot 21A, Lamaha Street, Georgetown, in the Century 21 building, or call 600-5006 or 761-5006. Guyana TV9. New leadership, fresh outlook, real results.
Welcome back. You're watching the Ghana TV9 News Bulletin. The extradition committal hearing for gold dealers Nazar Shell Mohammed and his son, opposition leader Azruddin Mohammed, was adjourned until February 16 after the senior Mohammed was hospitalized with chest pains and high blood pressure on Monday morning. Principal Magistrate Judy Latchman granted the week-long pause just days after rejecting a previous request for a delay based on Azruddin's parliamentary duties during the 2026 budget debate. Donald filed this report.
The matter was scheduled to continue on Monday before Principal Magistrate Judy Latchman at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, but the court was informed ahead of the hearing that 73-year-old Nazar Mohammed had fallen ill and that his condition had worsened. According to his son, the elder Mohammed suffered chest pains linked to a heart alignment and elevated blood pressure while preparing to attend court and had to be rushed to the hospital. He is reportedly being treated for multiple medical conditions, including heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension.
There are heart complications, a pressure issue, diabetes. I guess it's age, 73 years of age. And this is really taking a toll. I wish it must be recovered.
Have you been able to talk to him? Does he have any concerns?
Yes, but I just dropped into the hospital. I just came for it.
Mm-hmm. So he's at the doctor in and out or something?
Yes, he's at the hospital. Yes, he's there.
The extradition hearing was subsequently halted and adjourned, with both the prosecution and defense acknowledging the seriousness of the medical situation. One of the prosecuting attorneys, Glenn Hanneman, described the adjournment as unavoidable.
We wish Nazar Mohammed well. We wish him a speedy recovery. These things happen. Nothing we can do.
And I know you mentioned about the strain on the taxpayers' purse and all of that. There is a cost every time this matter is adjourned.
Always, there's a cost. Even the court has to mobilize itself from a different jurisdiction to be here. Prosecutors have to be here.
Are you open to having Mr. Nazar Mohammed appearing via virtually?
Very. I think the law allows for that. And I think that is a very good solution. If he needs to rest, I think that can be accommodated like that by the court, and I would ask for that to happen.
Inside the courtroom on Monday morning, the prosecution requested that the senior Mohammed be allowed to appear virtually if he remains unwell when the case is called again on February 16, citing the financial and logistical costs associated with repeated delays. The defense objected to the proposal, maintaining that Nazar Mohammed will attend court in person once his health improves. The case is expected to return to court on February 16 for report. The extradition request was filed by the United States government on October 30, 2025, under the extradition treaty between Ghana and the United Kingdom, which remains in force locally through the Fugitive Offenders Act, Chapter 1004, as amended in 2024. Nazar and Azruddin Mohammed are facing multiple criminal charges in the United States stemming from an indictment on seal on October 6, 2025 by a Southern District of Florida grand jury. The charges include wire fraud, mail fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, aiding and abetting, and customs violations, all linked to an alleged $50 million gold export and tax evasion scheme. Adana Dorg, Ghana TV9 News.
During his contribution to the Budget 2026 debate, Attorney General Anil Nandla, SC, emphasized the necessity of transparency and accountability for all public officials, particularly for those leading opposition movements. Here's more.
The Attorney General highlighted the need for clarity on legal and financial matters involving the opposition leader, urging full disclosure to Parliament and the people of Guyana. He underscored that all citizens, including elected officials, must uphold the highest standards of integrity and openness in public office. On financial matters, Nanlao pointed to assessments by the Ghana Revenue Authority, emphasizing the importance of resolving significant tax-related concerns for the sake of national transparency and fiscal responsibility. He contextualized the figures within historical national budget to illustrate the scale of public interest and critical nature of these issues for the country's economic planning. Nanlao criticized the We Invest in Nationhood Party, WIN, describing its formation as arising from what he termed dubious circumstances, while stressing that Ghana remains a democracy in which all parties are free to operate. However, he argued that individuals who hold public office, particularly the leader of the opposition, must be prepared to subject aspects of their private affairs to public scrutiny.
And in my capacity as the most senior law officer in this land, I call upon him to explain to this Honorable House, and by extension, the people of this country, why he was sanctioned by the Office of Foreign Assets Control of the United States of America. Accountability, Swetam, is not optional. He must come here and account to the people. He must come here and tell us. I call upon the honorable member to also explain why he's a subject of federal indictments in the United States of America on serious charges of money laundering and fraud.
Throughout his address, Nanlao maintained that these matters were directly relevant to the Budget 2026 debate and to the broader theme of effective governance. He urged members of the parliament to prioritize national interests over partisan politics, reminding all that the National Assembly represents the highest forum for decision-making in Guyana.
That in my first budgetary debate as Attorney General of Guyana in 2012, the national budget was $192 billion, the entire country budget. The subject of that audit is $190 billion. It's another country's national budget we are speaking about. Where is the pundit? He worried about a couple, worried genuinely about Gaisuku. But you know, the whole of Gaisuku's budget, allocation in this budget is $13.4 billion. The allegation over there is 15 times that sum.
During his presentation, objections were raised by the opposition benches on grounds of relevance and imputing improper motives. Speaker of the National Assembly, however, allowed Nanlao to continue, noting that latitude had been granted to members throughout the debate. Nanlao maintained that the issues he raised were directly related to the budget and national governance, stressing that Parliament represents the highest decision-making forum in the country. He warned against what he described as the politicization of serious national matters and said individuals seeking to serve in the National Assembly must be prepared to meet the highest standards of accountability. He concluded by describing the allegations facing the opposition leader as grave, adding that such matters could not be ignored in any forum entrusted with representing the interests of the Guyanese people. Colin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
The Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, GCAA, has issued a firm and unequivocal warning to drone operators across the country, declaring a zero-tolerance approach to unsafe, unlawful, and irresponsible drone use. Here's more from Madonna Doric.
The authority reminded the public that reckless drone operations pose serious risks to public safety, national security, and personal privacy, and stressed that all operators are legally bound to comply with Guyana's aviation laws. Under existing regulations, drone operators are prohibited from flying over or near private or public property without the express permission of the property owner. Drones are also banned from operating within 150 meters of congested areas or organized public gatherings and within 100 meters of any vessel, vehicle, or structure not under the operator's control. Additionally, operators must maintain a minimum distance of 50 meters from persons, property, or structures unless written authorization has been granted by the GCAA. The GCAA warned that violations constitute criminal offenses punishable by fines of up to 1 million Guyana dollars and or 2 years imprisonment. Non-compliance with permit conditions or approved operational guidelines will result in immediate suspension of drone permits and prosecution under GCAA regulations. The warning follows growing public concerns, including a troubling disclosure by Minister of Armenian Affairs, the Honorable Sarah Brown Shadi, who reported that a drone was recently observed flying unusually low over her family's residence. According to the minister, the incident raised serious privacy and safety concerns after a close female relative felt exposed when the drone descended near the home, forcing her to run for cover. She also referenced a pattern of suspicious activities in recent days, including being followed by vehicles following an earlier incident at a hostel witnessed by members of the public. Despite these developments, Minister Brown said she remains resolute, noting that intimidation will not deter her from serving her people. She drew strength from her identity as a proud Lukunu woman and the resilience of her ancestors. The GCAA is urging members of the public to report any unauthorized, suspicious, or unsafe drone activity to the nearest police station or to the GCAA safety hotline at 608 4222, reaffirming its commitment to protecting the integrity of Guyana's airspace. Adana Dork, Guyana TV9 News.
Turning to regional news, Jamaican alpine skier Henry Rivers IV has qualified to represent the Caribbean nation at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Italy, while his sisters Henia and Helena narrowly missed out. The Rivers triplets, who took a year gap to chase their Olympic dream, will be in Bormio, cheering Henry as he competes on the famed Stelvio slope in the men's slalom starting tomorrow. The medals awarded February 16. At just 18, Henry says his siblings and his motivation and the trio already has sights on competing together at Paris 2030. The Rivers family remain tightly knit, supportive, and proud. Internationally, a rubber boat carrying dozens of people has capsized off Libya's coast, leaving at least 53 dead or missing, including 2 babies. The vessel carrying 55 refugees and migrants from African countries overturned north of Zawara on February 6, just 6 hours after departing Zawiya. The International Organization for Migration says 2 survivors received emergency medical care. The tragic incident highlights the deadly central Mediterranean route where more than 1,300 people went missing in 2025. So far this year, at least 484 refugees and migrants have died or disappeared. IOM warns these crossings remain extremely perilous and life-threatening. Those are our major headlines for tonight's newscast. For those and more trending stories, follow us at our Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube platforms at GUITV9. I'm Calvin Abrams. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.